Hi, we're live. Hi, my name is Shunotra. I'm here with my colleague Malavika Rajkumar, and we're going to be talking about the law on online abuse. And before we begin with anything, just to give you an idea of what online abuse actually is. So, as the name suggests, it's abuse or violence that happens online or on the internet. It can manifest in many forms. Say, it could be when someone is stalking you online, they are incessantly messaging you on chats or forums or message boards. They could also be misusing your photographs or sending you obscene material without your permission. So basically, just to go over what we're going to be covering today in today's chat, we'll be explaining the different kinds of online abuse that exist, that the law recognizes, and what the punishments for it are. We'll also walk you through what you can do if you are a victim of any of these instances of online abuse, and basically how you can go ahead and report it. Now, the first and the primary thing to note when something like this happens to you is that just because this harassment or this abuse is happening on in the virtual world, it's happening online, does not mean that it's any less real. Abusing someone online is very much a crime, and there are specific punishments in the law that basically are put in place to stop such harassment from happening. Now, Malvika will explain how blocking users on your phone can be helpful and take you through some of the forms of online abuse that exist in the Indian legal system.
Yeah, so as Shunotra mentioned, the quickest and immediate way to stop online abuse is to block a person. Now, if the harassment is on social media, then your options for blocking can be based on the post itself. It can be based on the person, or it can be based on a page. It can be based on a lot of elements. So you can block all these items and not see them again, and you can also go and unblock them later. You have the option, so you know who all you've blocked. Versus, let's say that you are on your phone and you're getting constant calls, constant texts, etc., then you also have an option to block people on call. So if you're blocking users on your Android phone, for example, then you can go to your call history, press on the contact for a few seconds, and then click on the add to blacklist option or the block option. And from there, you can also unblock them, but it's good you immediately cut off such harassment. Secondly, let's say that you're getting multiple SMS texts, which are spam, people are constantly harassing you like this. You can also block them, and you can block multiple numbers. There is no limit for this. So there may be a situation where someone is coming, same person is coming again and again using different numbers and texting you. Not to worry, you can block them. You can go to your SMS list, click on the SMS you want to block, and press on the top right corner, there will be a block option. Now, this is for Android. For iPhones also, there are options where you can go to the contacts and block. Apart from that, you can filter messages and also report any iMessages to Apple so that they can also take action. All these provisions are there within your phone. Like I said, if the online abuse is happening to you on social media, blocking someone depends on the platform you're in. You can, for example, let's say that someone is texting you constantly on WhatsApp. You can block that person on WhatsApp. You can report that person on WhatsApp. And let's say this is a saved contact you have on the phone. You can also go to your phone and block the person. So these are all options that you have, and quick options that you can take before you actually raise a complaint. Now, let's look at the different forms of online abuse. Now, under the law, the different forms of online abuse are categorized under the Information Technology Act 2000 and the Indian Penal Code 1860. Now, I'm going to call them the IT Act and the IPC, so it's easy to understand. And these two laws actually punish a lot of forms of online abuse. So let's discuss online abuse from a situation perspective, so you can understand what to do if you face a situation. And most of these situations of online abuse are covered under the law. So let's start with what cyber stalking is. Now, as the term suggests, stalking, very casually put, is someone constantly following you, constantly harassing you. under the law, it is defined in the IPC, the Indian Penal Code, under 354D, and it clearly says that if any person monitors the internet, email, any other form of electronic communication or social media used by a woman, then this would amount to cyber stalking. So many people have this understanding of stalking as something that happens on ground, meaning like you'll think that someone is following you physically and that is stalking. But in 2013, through the Criminal Law Amendment Act, they brought about the provision for cyber stalking, because there are many situations. Let me give you an example. For example, you may have the same person come on Facebook and stalk you, they may be messaging you there constantly, then they may move on to Instagram and stalk you there, then they may move on to Snapchat and stalk you there. Because social media is so connected and it is easy to find people nowadays, people tend to stalk and contact people on multiple platforms at the same time. So the punishment for stalking for the first time, if someone is convicted of it, is 3 years jail time plus a fine. And for the second time, it is 5 years plus a fine. Please remember specifically, only a man can stalk a woman under the IPC law. So only a woman can file a complaint and a man can be held accused for cyber stalking. Now let's look at another important cybercrime, which is abusive language and photoshopping. Now, if someone uses abusive language against you, be it in any regional language, be it in any form, you have a right to complain. And let's say someone photoshops your images into, let's say, a nude image or a funny image, and they share it around, and you find this very offensive and abusive, then you have a right to complain. This situation is discussed in the law in the Information Technology Act, Section 67, and it punishes both men and women, and both men and women can also be victims under this law. So let's say, for example, the kind of abuse you're facing, you feel that it sort of gives a feeling of sexual interest towards you, or it's in the form like it sort of depraves or corrupts you. For example, it's in the form of pornography that's being shared, or let's say it relates to an excessive interest in any kind of sexual matter. All these encompass abusive language and photoshopping under Section 67, and you can definitely file a complaint. The jail time is 3 years plus 5 lakhs fine for the first time, and 5 years and 10 lakhs fine for the second time. Now, I'm going to discuss a concept commonly known as blackmailing, which everyone commonly refers to. But on the internet, it can be in the form of blackmailing, anonymous threats, or physical threats. Now, whenever you face such a situation, it is best to immediately complain. And under the law, this is known as criminal intimidation, and it's covered under Section 503 to 506 of the Indian Penal Code. The punishment is 2 years with a fine. So let me give you an example. If someone is messaging you on Facebook saying that they're going to beat you up, then this is a physical threat. And this is something you can complain against, because the law provides for protection against such victims. So if anyone is threatened, if anyone's threatened in situations of their reputation or their body or someone they know, these are all scenarios where you can definitely complain. Now, I'll just go on to one more situation, after which Shanotra will take you through. This is situations of voyeurism or invasion of privacy, basically. So let's say that you have faced a situation where someone is watching you on your laptop camera, where they've hacked into your system and they're watching you. This is a form of voyeurism, and it is punishable. So if anyone captures, publishes, or shares your pictures, videos, etc. without your consent, and if anyone is watching you do a private act where you're disrobing or you're in a sexual act, all these are punishable under the law. These are referred to under the law in Section 66 of the Information Technology Act, which punishes people with 3 years and a fine. And it is also referred to in 354C of the Indian Penal Code. But the definition in the Indian Penal Code is very restricted. It says that if someone is watching you, for example, disrobe or get involved in a sexual activity, or your genitals or breasts are being shown, then it will be a violation of privacy. It is not quite broad, but there's nothing to worry about this, because you have the Information Technology Act, which protects you for all other situations that you may encompass. So I'd like to end on the note that right to privacy is also a right that you have under Article 21 of the Constitution of India, under the famous case that happened, which is J.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. So if you ever feel that your privacy is being violated through the internet, or someone is watching you like that, you can definitely file a complaint. Now, Shunotra will take you through the rest.
So as Malvika pointed out, the IT Act is actually very comprehensive in defining what actually amounts to like different kinds of online abuse. So I'll also take you through a couple important ones, though like the realm of internet, basically online realm, is so vast that new offenses almost come up every day. IT Act does its best in trying to like, has given certain brackets under which most of these offenses fall. So one of the common offenses that people face online is impersonation. Now, impersonation is when someone assumes a fake identity to deceive others. Now, you may have commonly seen this on Facebook, where people take pictures from one person's account and create a fake account with these pictures pretending to be them. Now, this is impersonation, and it's a crime under Section 66D of the Information Technology Act. Now, if you impersonate someone, you could be jailed for up to 3 years in prison and be made to pay a fine of up to 1 lakh rupees. It's a very serious offense. And if it happens to you, it's something, if someone is impersonating you online, please first report it to the administrators of that website, and then go ahead and proceed to file an FIR with the police. Now, as I said, this is a very serious crime, because the person who's assuming your identity could be defrauding someone else. And ultimately, like, this crime is not only affecting you, but also several others around you. Now, filing an FIR is very easy. You can go ahead and see the entire process on our under our FIR explainer on nyaya.org, and we'll be getting into reporting crimes a little bit later. But yeah, impersonation is one of the important crimes that most people often face. Another one that's often confused with impersonation is identity theft. Now, the thing is, though the two are very similar, identity theft happens when someone steals or uses your passwords without your permission to access your account as you. Now, they could be also stealing your electronic signature or any other unique identifying feature to access your online accounts, like to basically pretend to be you for your accounts and get information or data from there. Now, the punishment for this offense is 3 years imprisonment and fine up to 1 lakh, the same as covered under 66C, but this comes under 66C. Then you have to understand the difference between these two, is because in one case there is a separate a fake identity is assumed in your name, and in this case your parts of your identity are stolen, where they take your passwords and your information to access your accounts. That's identity theft, where they're assuming to be you in your own accounts. Then another form of online abuse that's very common is when someone sends you obscene materials, or like just any sexually explicit materials. Now, posting obscene and sexually explicit materials is also a crime under IT Act, and is also covered under IPC, as the criminal amendment that Malvika had mentioned. The IT Act offenses that are committed here are under Section 67 and 67A. And for IPC, it's 354A of the Indian Penal Code. Now, there's a slight difference between posting obscene materials and posting sexually explicit materials. An example of posting obscene materials would be, say, posting a picture of a naked woman online. But an example of posting sexually explicit materials would be publishing a video of two people engaging in a sexual activity without their permission. If someone posts or distributes obscene materials online, they can be punished with 3 years imprisonment and a fine of up to 5 lakh rupees. But if someone is posting posting and distributing sexually explicit materials online, the punishment is higher, which is up to 5 years of imprisonment and a 10 lakh fine. Now, on a similar note, now if though it does not specifically come under the ambit of posting obscene and sexually explicit materials, if anyone forces a woman to watch pornography or watch any sexually explicit content that she is not like it that she is not willing to watch it, or it's being shown to her without her permission, that comes under the ambit of sexual harassment under IPC. That's 354A, as I mentioned earlier. The punishment for this is also 3 years imprisonment, which can either be imprisonment or a fine or both. Now, there's also, if on an online platform, if you insult someone's, say, religion or religious beliefs, that is also a crime that's covered under IPC. It's section 295A of IPC that makes it a crime to insult anybody's religious beliefs, and the punishment for that is 3 years imprisonment or fine. Now, moving on to the next one of the main offenses that come under online abuse is, and also very common, is when someone takes personal photos or videos of you and publishes them online without your permission. Now, this is also a crime, and it's made punishable under section 66E of IT Act. Now, the thing is, a lot of these sections, as you can recall, and Malvika also mentioned, I'm also mentioning, come under 66A, B, C, D. It's a little confusing and it's hard to keep up with it, but you can find all of this information in detail on our website, nyaya.org. We'll just go over what exactly are these offenses, so that if it happens to you, you know what is that you know that it's a crime and there is a punishment for it, and that you can go ahead and file a complaint. Now, for personal photos, like, as I said, many may think that it's not actually a serious offense, because it's not as, you may think that, oh, someone just took a picture of me and put it up online. But if it is done without your if it is published without your permission, it can carry a punishment for 3 years imprisonment and along with a fine. IT Act considers this to be a very serious offense. Now, if, like as Malvika mentioned before, if someone takes pictures of you, she mentioned the crime of voyeurism, online voyeurism. This is also very much a serious crime, though the 66E covers both men and women. Specifically, IPC makes a provision for women whose photos and videos are taken in, say, doing in a private, anything in a private act, whether they thought that no one was watching them. If those photos are published online without their consent, it would be a crime of voyeurism. It's also often referred to as the law on peeping toms, because that's one of the main problems that women face, not only in the online realm but also offline. And finally, I think one more important online violence offense of online crime that needs to be mentioned is very common, that commonly people refer to as hacking. Now, legally, it's recognized as either account takeover or unauthorized access. Now, this comes under section 43A of the IT Act. Now, the thing is, generally, like, you commonly hear that, people's online accounts got hacked or their computers hacked where their data was stolen. Now, the thing is, to give you an example, say someone hacks into your Gmail account and steals all your personal information. This is very much a crime, though there is no specific punishment for it. What the section does here is that when you prove that someone dishonestly hacked your account and stole your data, the court can ask them to recover you the money in terms of damages that were caused to you because of this hacking. So briefly, these were just like what Malvika went through, and the few points that I mentioned were some of the broad aspects of online abuse that the IT Act and the IPC cover. Though again, like as I said before, it's a very big realm, and many new offenses keep coming up that are not really mentioned. But the first thing you do is you block the person, you report it to the administrators, and then you go ahead and file the FIR on it. So yeah, so Malvika will just walk you over the cyber safety aspect of it, as to what you can do to be like safe in this aspects.
So, moving on to cyber safety, if you actually go to the Cybercrime Delhi website, they have a very detailed note on cyber safety for different groups of people. Because cyber safety, for example, for a child will be different for a cyber safe will be different compared to cyber safety for a business, for example. So if you actually if you actually go through all those guidelines, you'll see they're very detailed, and I'm just going to take you through the main points which many women should specifically know about, because many women are targets of online abuse. And let me just take you through them. First of all, always choose a safe online name, because it will be hard for people to find you if your online name is a little complicated. Then it'll also be a little private. Secondly, choose a strong password with alphanumeric numbers. This is very important because, as Shanotra mentioned, in situations of hacking and identity theft, it's very easy for them to actually know your password. So the harder you keep it, the harder it'll be for such crimes to take place in the first place. Secondly, regarding computer security tools, it's always best to have antiviruses and computer security tools installed within your computer so that no malware can actually enter. Then being selective about your friends in terms of friend requests on social media is also a key point mentioned by the Delhi Cybercrime. Then opening emails, because a lot of emails carry viruses, and when you click on the attachment, it can actually affect your computer. That's also something that needs to be looked at. Understanding the privacy policy of the application that you're using is a very basic step which we can all take right before you register onto a website. Or even, let's say you want to check out the privacy policy of Facebook after you've made an account, you can still go to the help center and access it. And they've also suggested that it's good to review all your contacts within each social media platform and check activity, because you can see what kind of activity is happening on each platform, and you'll know if you haven't done something, you'll know that someone is also accessing your account. Now, some immediate steps, like Shanotra mentioned, blocking, reporting. But before you actually get to the cybercrime units or you go to the police, it's always better for you if you take screenshots. Screenshots are evidences which are used while filing complaints with the cybercrime units. Even when you go to the online website, which Shanotra will mention about, they'll ask you to upload them. So please have screenshots ready. It's also a key takeaway from cyber safety, because at the end of the day, cyber safety is not just before a crime happens. It's a continuous process. Even after you face a situation, you should still know how to protect your accounts and your social media accounts specifically. Shanotra will now take you through the reporting mechanisms.
So we mentioned throughout that you first block the user and you report them to the administrators of the website. What is really important here for you to note is that it is like online crimes are actual crimes under IT Act and IPC. So you should go ahead and report it to the police. Now, what you can do is that you can first go to any police station or call on 100 and tell them, narrate the incident that happened to you, and insist that an FIR be filed in this regard. Now, depending on the severity of the offense, the police officers will direct you to, they will basically tell you of the sections that they will be applying in this case, and note down your FIR and give you a copy of the same. Now, the thing is, certain, I mean, in certain cases, it's hard to explain that a crime has actually taken place, because sometimes, in many times, online offenses are taken are treated in a very trivial manner. So what you can do is that, don't worry, you can just go to another police station and report it. There is no limit that you have to go to the police station where the crime happened, or you have to go to the police station near your house. You can just go to any police station you want, file your complaint, and have your copy of FIR registered. Another thing that you can do is that some states have cyber cells that you can directly approach in cases of online abuse. You can also check out their website. As Malvika mentioned, that the Delhi police website have a different cybersecurity portal. There is also a national portal called cybercrime.gov.in. Now, once you go on the website, there are several options where you can either directly report the crime online, or you can call up one of their helpline numbers, and ask them what is the best course of action in this manner. In this matter. So basically, you have many options where you can go ahead and file online complaints. They file complaints on online abuse, but the most important thing for you to know is that you should go ahead and file it, because it is very much a crime. Now, as I kept saying repeatedly, that for some, crimes on the virtual world may seem very trivial, but it has the potential for it has the potential to be devastating, not just for you as a victim, but for also those around you. So if such a crime happens to you, you should not also restrict yourself in any way. You have as much as a right to be on the internet and express your views as the next person. And if an online offense is happening, it is like your duty either to you or to anyone around you. Please do go ahead and report it. Just as Malvika said, be safe online and like be proactive in these matters. Like it's necessary to report as much as possible and not let it go. So yeah, this was the law on online abuse. If you have any questions specifically, you can also access all the information that we mentioned today on our website, nyaya.org. We have a specific explainer called online abuse that lists down every thing that we spoke about today, and also step-by-step processes on how you can report to different administrators. Like if something has happened on Facebook, you can check. We've written down steps on how you can go ahead and complain on Facebook, how you can go and complain on WhatsApp. Apart from this, we've also noted down how you can file FIRs if an online offense has happened to you or anyone around you, and just a very comprehensive set of details there. If you feel that there is something that we've missed out in that thing and you have a specific question on the law, you can always click on the Ask Nyaya button on our website, and we will get back to you with the information and also post your or your questions online for more people to view. Thank you for joining us tonight, and good night.